Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about one of the things that was left open-ended in the last manga chapter, so chapter 12 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, and it's something I saw a lot of commentary on after the chapter was released, which is the fate of Hidari at the end of the chapter now that he's been transformed into a 10-tails Thorn Soul bulb, which is why in today's newest Naruto Explain video, I want to talk to you guys about why it is not over yet with Hidari's character and why Boruto's failure to secure the Thorn Soul after Hidari was defeated might end up being a bigger problem way down the line. So when the last manga chapter ended, we had Boruto reveal that the Thorn Soul bulbs that can be used to return any person who was used to create an awakened shinju back to normal, because the awakened shinju were made from the person's chakra who was bitten, and so by using the Thorn Soul bulb, it was possible to rescue those who were trapped if you gain possession of the Thorn Soul bulb. This of course led to Jura listening in on the whole situation, going nope, not allowing this guy to live any longer, and proceeded to shoot Boruto with a Bijudama condensed down like a sniper bullet. And this of course is what everyone is focused on, but I kept thinking about what we saw with Hidari in the chapter. It didn't sit right with me, and the Thorn Soul bulb that belongs to him, by extension Sasuke, and I think that the narrative is already showing us that Jura being in possession of the Thorn Soul bulb, it is a straight line towards Hidari's revival. In the chapter itself, we see Hidari sustain more damage than normal, whereas before when he was damaged by Sarada, the guy was just auto healing on the spot like it was no big deal. However, once Boruto arrived, Hidari was taking in enough damage. The guy was retreating to the 10-tails dimension, and while he was there, we saw these tree roots. They shot out towards the body and they restored the damage that he was done, and the story went out of its way to show it multiple times that Hidari was being healed in that dimension right before he was ultimately destroyed. This obviously is a situation where the narrative is setting us up for the moment where Jura takes the Thorn Soul bulb back to that hideout in that 10-tails dimension, and we see the rebuilding slash reconstruction of Hidari's body. And this, in my opinion, is not only for the betterment of the story, but is also something in terms of the lore and world building that will give us more answers about the awakened Shinju. In the latter part of that explanation, I think that that is the most important factor for us, the world building aspect, because even with the information about the Thorn Soul bulbs being given, in the sense that we now know they do exist and that they are the key to reversing that grutification of those who are trapped in the trees after being bitten by claw grimes, there is still a lot that we don't know because we are in uncharted territory. After the chapter dropped, the number of DMs I got on Twitter and Instagram of people asking me to explain what the Thorn Souls are was a sign that there's a lot of interest in learning more, but we don't have enough information in the concrete sense right now to give a definitive answer, not in the way that we do with, say, ninjutsu, that I'll break down occasionally on the ninjutsu handbook playlist on the channel, because all those videos are made after Naruto's manga has concluded, and the 4 Naruto databooks give us clear, concrete information that is indisputable in how the jutsu work. With this, the Thorn Soul bulbs, it is a newly opened Pandora's box that is right now something that is going to continue to evolve, because we only know what comes in the story as it's given to, in particular that the chakra from those who are bitten is what creates the Thorn Soul bulb and that it can be used to restore those who are trapped. Everything else is mere conjecture on our parts, which that is the fun part of following ongoing manga. It makes for a really good water cooler talk amongst fans in order to pass time until the new chapters drop. However, Jura getting the Thorn Soul bulbs, that opens up the door for us to learn more about how they work. The reason being is that this guy, he has been closely associated with knowledge, and he's more tuned to the true purpose of them as awakened Shinju than the others that have gathered there in that dimension, whereas they needed to be walked through their feelings and their purpose to find their targets they needed to consume. Jura was the one who was clear-eyed and smart enough to wait to make his move until he got all the intel he needed. He was the cerebral assassin of the group. He was a visionary, and dare I say it, he was a revolutionary in the way that he was conducting himself. He is freaking Jura right now. If we're going to learn anything about the Thorn Souls in detail, it's going to be from one of those 3 people. Kashin Koji, who appears to have knowledge via some, as of now, unconfirmed, undisclosed reasons. Momoshiki, whenever he suddenly decides to appear in the story, and Jura, our revolutionary and visionary. The moment that Jura eventually goes back to that 10-tails dimension with Hidari to use whatever heal Hidari to construct him via the Thorn Soul is going going to provide us with a treasure trove of information, and Jura is a very reliable narrator. He isn't some buffoon like Hidari, who you have to question everything he says because the guy walked into the bookshop screaming Naruto's name, really thinking that he was there. Jura's like, are you serious right now? And he's checking in the pop-up book section because Jura told him, hey, I love you very much. I buried the secret to why you want to eat Sarada somewhere in this bookstore. It's right next to your brain cells, and I'll help you find it if you help find Naruto for me. That alone is worth keeping Jura in possession of Hidari's Thorn Soul, because he's likely going to expound upon why it feels like he is so threatened by Boruto knowing as much about the Thorn Souls as he is. The next thing that it does is it allows for the setting up of a future battle later on down the line. Boruto's determined to get Sasuke out of that tree, and Sarada, now she's learned the truth about what Hidari is and what the Thorn Soul is, she's now become laser focused on the exact same goal. This is where it gets interesting. We know with certainty that the story is setting up Boruto and Sarada to be working together to retrieve Hidari's Thorn Soul to rescue Sasuke. It's part of their character arcs now, either directly defeating Hidari again in the future or indirectly playing a role to rescue Sasuke. Both sides now have a bit of intel on the other, and they can now take it into their rematch, and this is very important. Boruto and Sarada, they've seen the way that Hidari fights and the way that he uses the claw marks the same way that Code does, but Hidari will also summon claw marks from them, hide in the claw grimes in order to wait for the moment for his attack, and any extensive damage he receives, he can go hide and heal himself and reappear. On the other hand, you have a situation where Boruto has already used his signature ace in the hole jutsu right now in the form of the Rasengan Uzuhiko, and it's been used in front of the wicked Shinju. Jura has shown he's been able to hear what's been said, so he now knows the weakness of the Rasengan Uzuhiko, and that Boruto has to stay stationary to gather the Earth's chakra to perform it. Boruto cannot fly when using it, and based on what we've seen, the story is continuing the trend of what we were told via the official Boruto database off of the official Naruto website, which is that the Rasengan Uzuhiko, it is not the same thing as people like Naruto who gather nature energy for Sage Mode. So the concept that people say of using a shadow clone to do it for Boruto, then breaking the shadow clone to transfer the energy gather, it does not apply here based on what the database says. Long form video about 13 minutes long on the Rasengan Uzuhiko dropping next month, because it's currently on Patreon, and with the new information we have about the max output Rasengan Uzuhiko and the weakness, that's got to get added into it because the original video was recorded before the new chapter dropped, well before the new chapter. So I'm gonna have to edit on the back end of what my editor already did. Now this brings us all the way back to what we were told in Naruto's manga, and something that people are not paying enough attention to. So the thing that you have to keep in mind about using your ace in the hole jutsu, whether it be your Kekkei Genkai like Ice Release Kekkei Genkai, or the Sharingan Kekkei Genkai, or be a hidden jutsu that your clan possesses that they pass down to you via training. So jutsu like the Inoshika trio, all their clan jutsu, Akamichi clan expansion jutsu, Nar clan shadow possession jutsu, Yamanaka clan mind transmission jutsu, etc. Or whether it be a case like Boruto's new jutsu, which is an ace in the hole jutsu, the Rasengan Uzuhiko, we are directly told and we are directly shown that using those powers in jutsu more than once against the same enemy, it is a bad idea in a fight, because your enemy, assuming they aren't dumb enough to hear someone say, hey, can you see it? Do you see that big beautiful light? There it is. Oh, that's the sun. Don't stare directly into it. Assuming they aren't that level of an idiot, they will be able to find the weakness to your attack if they see it more than once. When you use a jutsu, you better kill the person, because there might not be a second time for you to use it if you take too long to perform the jutsu, because someone like Itachi, they can figure out the weakness midway through it, the same way that we saw when he was looking at Nagato perform Chibaku Tensei and he said, bam, I got the weakness. Boruto isn't going to be able to rely on the Rasengan Uzuhiko, not in the way that he originally just used it. He's going to have to get more creative. He's going to have to evolve. That's where it gets really interesting, because it means in a potential rematch, you run into a situation where you're going to have to rely upon the one person who hasn't shown their full power yet, or their abilities because they're unknown, which is Sarada Uchiha and her Mangekyo Sharingan power. She can't spam Mangekyo, and with Boruto having been there to provide backup, even with Hidari lurking, there was no need to bust out her Mangekyo Sharingan right now because of the chakra expenditure price of Mangekyo, and you have a limited amount of times you can use Mangekyo before you go blind. If you use it too much much like Sasuke, you go blind like an idiot. Wasting it on the claw grind she was already shown being able to defeat on her own. While she had Boruto there, that was a waste. And Sarada went into that battle knowing that Boruto had a plan to deal with Hidari. The moment he showed back up, it was teamwork, so no need to use Mangekyo right there. However, all of that changes now for the matchup. She is the unknown that someone like Hidari does not have intel on. He's gonna be one-track minded enough that even if it takes him a whole 3 years before he sees Sarada again, he's only going to be focused on her, and it's going to cloud his judgment in the same way the coach's judgment gets clouded when he sees Ada and he goes, oh my god, Ada-chan, I thought that was you. I should have worn my white pants instead. Because now, well, just don't look down there. And the moment that she gets grossed out, Damon is going to shove his foot up Code's ass, and he's going to tell him, this is just the first 5 steps of a prostate-assisted orgasm before Ada steps on the guy's neck and crushes him. Which that explains a lot of why Code likes getting his ass whooped. After all, he looks like a guy who likes some dommy mommy action. Look at all those belts on his face and who knows where else. Which I'm totally not judging the guy. I mean, who knows what happened when he spent all that alone time with Scoutmaster Jigen. We know the guy's got a pretty unusual attachment, and that totally explains why Kawaki hates Jigen, and Kawaki definitely doesn't want to go back, and Code's jealous that Kawaki was Scoutmaster Jigen's favorite little boy scout. Boruto, he might have dropped the ball by not getting his hands on Hidari's Thorn Soul, but it might have been for the betterment of the story in the long run to create long-term storytelling in a good way and create a good payoff. Very similar to how the new Black Clover chapter pays off the storyline set up for Noel Silva way back in part 1 of Black Clover, which my review from Anime Explained is over here on the left, so check that out if you're a Black Clover fan. We waited 3 months for 48 pages and it did not disappoint. Or click over here on the right for the video that YouTube is suggesting that you watch right here from the Naruto Explained channel.